Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to staying informed. Today, we're diving into a pretty potent North Atlantic cyclone. It looks set to hit Ireland and the UK starting this Sunday, September 14th, and running into Monday the 15th. Yeah, it's shaping up to be quite a multi-hazard event, and honestly, it feels like a continuation of this intense weather we've been having all September. So our mission today, let's unpack the key impacts, try to understand the dynamics behind it, and really importantly, explore what this might mean for you.
Absolutely, and I think right off the bat, a critical factor to mention is that the storm is expected to undergo rapid intensification.
Rapid intensification.
Okay, yeah, it's basically weather speak for the storm's central pressure dropping very, very quickly.
Which means stronger winds, faster.
Exactly. It often leads to a sudden, pretty significant jump in wind speeds. And that just amplifies the potential for, serious wind and rain hazards as it barrels towards the coast.
Okay, so this low pressure system is strengthening rapidly, moving across the North Atlantic, heading for Ireland, Northern Ireland, Southwest UK. Sounds like about 36 hours of gales and high waves. But something you mentioned earlier strikes me, the difference between the warnings for land and the warnings for the sea.
That's right. And it's actually quite a fascinating distinction here. You see, for land areas, we're talking counties like Clare, Kerry, Galway, Mayo in Ireland for wind, or Donegal, Leitrim, Sligo for rain, and even parts of Wales over in the UK, the warnings are status yellow.
Okay, so yellow means be aware, potential disruption, but maybe not catastrophic.
Precisely. It signals potential disruption.
Yeah.
But then you look offshore at the marine forecast, and it's a whole different story, much more severe.
How severe?
Well, the UK Met Office and Met Éireann, they're issuing severe gale-force 9 warnings for sea areas like Seoul, Lundy, Fastnet.
Worst 9.
Wow. And gale-force 8 or strong gale-force 9 for the Irish Sea. So what this tells us is that the absolute most extreme conditions are happening just offshore.
But still close enough to cause major problems along the coast.
Definitely. Anyone near the coast could still feel a very significant impact. Those waves, that wind. It doesn't just stop at the water's edge.
So let's translate this. What does it actually mean for daily life, for routines? Starting with travel, maybe? I saw Air Canada already put out an advisory for Heathrow.
Yes, potential flight impacts are definitely on the cards.
But the timing seems especially tricky for rail travel, doesn't it? I noticed both Irish Rail and TfL in London have engineering works planned for Sunday.
Exactly, and this is where you see that compounding effect. It's quite interesting, actually. Irish Rail just brought in their new autumn timetable.
Oh yeah, what's that for?
It's specifically designed to deal with low rail adhesion caused by leaf fall.
Ah, the slippery rail problem.
Yes, they describe it as being like black ice on the roads. This new timetable already adds about 3 minutes to journeys just to account for that. So now you throw this storm's heavy rain and strong winds into the mix. It's going to make an already slightly tricky situation potentially much worse. More delays, more headaches.
Right, and it's not just trains. We're seeing ferry cancellations too. CalMax seems to have several routes completely canceled, Éireann, Barra, others just showing general disruptions.
Yeah, widespread disruption on the ferries is almost certain with those kinds of marine warnings.
This brings up the question of utilities, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Infrastructure resilience. Are we talking about power cuts?
I'd say there's a distinct risk, yes. Short-term power cuts are definitely possible. We only need to look back to January 2025 at Storm Éireann.
That was the bomb cyclone.
That was the one. Intensified incredibly rapidly. It knocked out power to over 1 million homes and businesses across Ireland and the UK. So the potential is there.
And beyond the wind, what about flooding? I saw mentions of potential surface water issues in England.
Yes, that's another hazard. Even without formal flood alerts being issued everywhere, the risk for surface water flooding, maybe some local rivers spilling over, is explicitly stated as possible in parts of England.
Because the ground might already be wet from recent rain.
Exactly. Saturated ground means the rain has nowhere to go, leading to runoff and potential flooding much faster.
So, okay, thinking about preparedness for you listening, if this is becoming a kind of new autumnal norm, these intense multi-hazard storms, what's maybe one key thing people should consider differently this time, or even thinking ahead to next autumn?
Well, beyond the standard advice like checking forecasts, I'd really emphasize securing anything outdoors that high winds could turn into a projectile. Think bins, garden furniture, trampolines.
Good point.
And also, critically, understanding your local flood risk. Even if you're not technically in a designated flood zone, heavy rainfall events like this can cause problems anywhere. It's about that cumulative impact, too.
You mentioned this might be part of a bigger picture, this new autumnal norm. Can you expand on that? Is this storm really part of a trend?
I believe the evidence points that way. This current event, it doesn't seem like an outlier when you look at the recent past. We had Storm Dara last December, remember, that caused something like 2.3 million power outages.
Yes, in numbers.
And then Storm Elwyn in January, that bomb cyclone we mentioned, with gusts hitting 114 miles per hour in Ireland. These aren't just isolated bad storms. They feel like part of a pattern of more intense autumn and winter weather.
That's a pretty strong statement, a new autumnal norm. Is there general agreement on that? Or are there other ways to explain this apparent increase in intensity?
Look, the overwhelming scientific consensus points towards a shift. While every storm has its own specific meteorological drivers, the frequency and the intensity we're observing, especially these rapid intensification events, align very consistently with broader climate change patterns. There really isn't much credible scientific dissent on that general trend.
Okay, so this deep dive has really shown us a complex storm system heading our way, a multi-hazard threat. But maybe more significantly, it seems to highlight this larger trend of increasingly intense autumn weather across the North Atlantic region.
And the long-term outlook, unfortunately, suggests these kinds of unsettled conditions are likely to persist. These events seem set to become more common, not less.
Which leaves a final thought for you, the learner. If we accept this pattern of more consistent, more powerful storms as the new reality, what does that really mean? Beyond just preparing our own homes, what does this new autumnal norm demand in terms of long-term planning for our communities, for infrastructure resilience? Something to perhaps mull over as we all navigate these changing weather patterns together?